What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, the last couple of years, we've entered this woke culture where they have good intentions for the most part, but you know, I think that their methods are counterproductive at times. But we've seen over the last couple of years where you had all of these monuments of white supremacy be toppled, whether it's the banning of the Confederate flag at certain events, or at state houses, Capitol buildings, or whether you're talking about the toppling of Confederate statues, or the changing of names of airports or buildings from people who are now deemed to be, reprehensible human beings, um, definitely racist, um, and it's spilled over to sports. Just recently, we've seen the Washington Redskins officially change their name to the Washington football team, and they will eventually come to a new nickname, probably by next year. So it's been a domino effect, and there's been pressure on a lot of these teams that have these names, to change, especially when it comes to Native Americans, to change their names. Now, and I look, this isn't something that's new. Younger people that listen to my videos, this isn't something that's new. There's been a push, for most of these franchises to change their name for decades. I remember talk when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s that it was offensive to Native Americans. This isn't something that just started. The difference is, in my opinion, what was once a fringe movement has now become more mainstream and now has threat of dollar signs behind it. Whenever you can fuck with someone's money, endorsements, um, when you can, the main reason why these owners have chosen to change their tune when it comes to names, it isn't because of some type of change in morals. It's when you start fucking with their bottom line. You know what I'm saying? Because from what I can understand, Daniel Snyder did not want to change the name of the Redskins. He was forced to do it. And from the Cleveland Indians owner, from what I've read, he wasn't going to change the name of the Indians. He did get rid of that mascot, the one that you see with the red smiling face, that Indian character. They did get rid of him, but they weren't going to change the name of the Indians. But what made him change his mind was the George Floyd incident. And, you know, that's an incident that really brought about to many Americans that we still have an issue with police brutality. That was almost like the Selma move, the Selma moment for those of us who've been preaching and trying to educate people about the existence of police brutality. That was like the Selma moment where, okay, now they're seeing what we're talking about. Some people. But they're going to change the name. They're not going to make a determination this season. I think it's going to be next season as to what that nickname is going to be. But look, this is what I feel, okay? Morally, I think it's the right thing to do. I'm not a Native American, but I do know this. Looking at some of the names of those Negro League teams is rather offensive. Like when you see a team that might be named the the Charleston Darkies, or you know the Salem I don't know, you know the Salem Tar Babies or something. Like when you see names like that, it does makes you feel a certain type of way, you know. And so yeah, I can empathize with Native Americans in the fact that it might be time to change the names of these teams. We're not in 1947 anymore. We're not in 1973 anymore. Okay. So me personally, we'll get over it. It took me about 3 or 4 years to finally stop calling the Bullets, and call them the Wizards. It's something that's going to take a while, but eventually, we'll call the Redskins whatever the hell the new name is. We'll just get used to it eventually. We'll get it out of our system. The Indians, we'll call them whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these teams had different names at one point. The Sacramento Kings used to be the Rochester Royals. You don't think it took a while for many fans to stop calling them the Royals, and then and calling them the Kings? It's just that in this situation, it's really more of a political correctness thing rather than a relocation thing. But I will say this though: when I say this, these name changes can be counterproductive. There's a large segment of this population that feel like this country is, if not being taken away from them, they feel like they are being put in an awkward situation for them where when they were growing up, they were the protagonist. Me and everybody else were the antagonists. These are the group of people who grew up watching the cowboy and Indian movies or Clint Eastwood or whatever. And they're used to seeing people that look like them as the good guys. But they can't stand the fact that if you look at things from a historical perspective, the reality is a lot more murky. Now, I'm not saying they're the bad guys all the time, right? I'm even trying to be fair in this assessment. But it's a lot more murky than these motherfuckers want to make it out to be. In reality, a lot of times, just to be quite honest, they were the barbarians. They were doing evil things. You know what I'm saying? And when the reality is presented to them, they overreact and say that, oh, they want to blame us for everything. History tells us the truth, okay? Your history, even the history that you homogenize and watered down to make you guys look better, it still makes you look bad. Slavery, the atrocity that happened to Native Americans, the internment of Chinese Americans and excuse me, Japanese Americans in California. I mean, that's just three things. Tuskegee experiments, on and on and on. The way that mentally challenged individuals have been treated in this country until recently. Um, I mean, that's a whole other video, but yeah, there's going to be people who aren't going to like these changes. They're not going to agree with these changes. They feel like this country is being taken away from them and all these different things. But at the end of the day, you know, I guess I'm for it. I guess I don't have a real problem with it um, because I can see things, from a different perspective than most people. But tell me what you guys think.